Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining this stream. Today is 12th of January. Now it's 3 p.m. Moscow time, or 1500 hours, middle of the day. And as always, I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments, major topics that Russian media and world media basically is focused on, and also Russian public. And hopefully you will find news segment of this program interesting and useful. If during the stream there are going to be some questions through super chat on Rumble, and I'm streaming on both, by the way, YouTube and Rumble, of course, channels of mine. If there are going to be any questions through Rumble or PayPal or Boosty, of course, I will react on it. And okay, that's been said. For the new members, I will say that if you would like what you see, if you like the channel, you can support her, of course, through several means. All the links are on this video in the description box. That's been said, let's go through some news, dear friends. And I'm going to start, maybe surprisingly for some of you, but I'm going to start with the news about a meeting that Russian President Vladimir Putin had with the Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov today. And RIA Novosti, for example, is reporting that Putin discussed the development of their defense industry and the manufacturing with the Manturov. And I'm starting with this news because probably many of you did notice that in the past several days, rumors began circulating on internet, and these rumors were generated in the West, right, obviously, that, well, Putin is hiding, Putin is not being seen anywhere for quite a while now, and is he scared that something going to happen to him, like with Maduro? All kind of crazy stuff was circulating on internet. And after all, by the way, until now, I did not respond on that, did not react on it, because after all, it's a New Year and Christmas celebrations, right? It's a holidays, by the way. Today, officially, holidays ended on 12th of January. Until now, there was a holidays, by the way, right? And I mean, Putin probably deserved to have a little break, isn't it? Is that not logical? And even though he was active, by the way, even though Putin before New Year and after was active with meetings and all that kind of stuff, but nevertheless, this rumor spread, and I guess after today, after these videos of Putin and Maturov exchanging opinions on some major stuff, these rumors will eventually die down. But nevertheless, before I started with this news, let me give you some details also about this conversation of two. President Vladimir Putin met with their first Deputy Prime Minister, Denis Manturov. Among other things, they discussed the developments of the defense industry and manufacturing. The main statements from this meeting about military-industrial complex. According to Manturov, defense industry enterprises have fulfilled all state defense procurement orders. Particular emphasis was placed on weapons and military equipment for missions in the special operations zone. According to him, the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Industry and Trade, and the Ministry of Finance have come to understanding that the defense industry's product line must be balanced year on year, taking into account growth of labor productivity. In total, 3.8 million people are employed in the defense industry. Quite interesting, isn't it? In the last 3 years alone, 800,000 people have been added, and we are seeing an increase in the labor productivity. Putin called this a very important issue and ordered that the second shift factor be cleaned out when assessing this indicator about the manufacturing industry. Manufacturing industry growth by the end of 2025 is estimated at 3%, with the more precise figures expected after official statistics are released in February, Manturov said. Also, by the way, during this conversation, Manturov informed Russian president that portfolio of Russian military-industrial complex for exports of the weapons is about $70 billion, highest number for quite a a while, for decades even, right? These kind of numbers have not been seen even before special military operation has started. This $70 billion portfolio is already signed contracts, right? And Montoro said that among the most required weaponry from Russia is air defense systems, understandably so, best in the world, radio electronic warfare, military aircraft, multi-launch rocket systems, and so on and so on, right? So it is quite impressive that military-industrial complex is not just fulfilling its obligations before our defense ministry based on existing contracts, but also managing to work on the contracts for export, right? And quite often I have reported in my previous updates about deliveries of the Russian weaponry in different countries. One of the most active buyers nowadays are Algeria, and Algeria is investing quite a lot in defense capabilities, understandably so, because they know France is coming after them, right? French ruling class will do whatever they can to destroy Algeria, right? Threats are out there, and understandably, Algeria's political and military leadership wants to be ready for whatever is to come. Also, obviously, India is one of the biggest partners of the Russian military-industrial complex. They always purchase quite a lot of weaponry, and most of the Indian weaponry, by the way, has its origin in Russia, even if a significant part of it is produced now in India due to exchange of technologies and produced under the Russian license. But nevertheless, I think figure is interesting that a portfolio of the military-industrial complex for export is about $70 billion. Also, let me give you some quotes. This is Montoro saying, isn't it? We must give a credit to our companies, which, despite the challenging conditions, have maintained their investment momentum over their first 3 quarters of the last year. Investment growth in their manufacturing sector was 23%, approximately 5 trillion rubles. He also emphasized that in the first 10 months of 2025, Russian industry increased its exports by 18%. That's what I was talking about. That portfolio is huge for export, and their defense military-industrial complex is managing to not just fulfill obligations before defense ministry, but also to export weapons. So this indicates that enterprises have overcome the first stage of adoption to the new markets, given that we currently supply 80% of their friendly countries. He said about space industry, according to Montoro, last year Roscosmos Corporation carried out 17 launches of the space rockets, and the Russian satellite constellation increased from 288 to 300 devices. The launch of the Angara A5 heavy rocket, by the way, from the Plesetsk Cosmodrome was singled out separately. It launched a satellite for the Ministry of Defense into geostationary orbit. Previously, we could only perform such missions from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The next stage will be the large-scale use of Angara from Vostochny Cosmodrome, including for missions to the Russian orbital station and subsequently for manned space flight and the lunar missions. And of course, Vostochny Cosmodrome continues to develop, and I guess fairly soon Russia will be in position to basically no longer be in need of Baikonur Cosmodrome that is located in Kazakhstan, although, by the way, Russia might actually maintain its presence in Baikonur. This is in interest of Kazakhstan too, because without Russian presence there, what Kazakhstan gonna do with this Cosmodrome, right? Kazakhstan itself is unable to do launches, right? And they are receiving quite good money for renting the Cosmodrome to Russia. But nevertheless, some significant statements. But first and foremost, I wanted to share this information about this meeting between the two to respond all these freaking crazy rumors that Western propaganda is sharing for how many days now? How long? 2 weeks? That Putin has disappeared. He's scared. He's somewhere hiding in a bunker and stuff. I mean, seriously, what the hell, man? President of the biggest country in the world that works probably, I don't know, 12, 14 hours a day, has no right to take a break during the New Year's and the Christmas holidays. What the hell, right? But level of insanity in the West, man, is just beyond anything we have ever seen, I guess, right? Meanwhile, there was also rumors, isn't it, that there are going to be some elections on the Kiev-controlled territory, and Zelensky is preparing for elections, and oh, you see, by the way, looks like I'm freezing again. So that means this is a StreamYard issue, not the issue of. А ничего не делал. I guess this is an issue of StreamYard, by the way, not the issue of notebook when the screen is freezing. I mean, StreamYard come up with some update relatively recently, by the way. And since then, literally since the day of that update, there is this technical issues with the platform. And for God's sake, we pay how much? $50 every freaking month for what? Not to be able to stream properly? I have to find some alternatives to this garbage, man. Anyways, let me continue. My apologies, dear friends, if our screen gonna freeze again. It's not me. It's a StreamYard that is doing it. So I was talking about this rumors that were generated again in the West, right? That there are going to be some freaking elections on the Kiev-controlled territory, and Zelensky is preparing for it, and this and that. No, I said straight away that there are going to be no elections, right? And well, now we have a major indicator that I was correct, because Zelensky wants to extend mobilization and the martial law for another 3 months, another 90 days. Proposal has been submitted to Ukraine's so-called parliament, state rather, and of course will be adopted, which means that definitely no one should expect any freaking elections anytime soon on the Kiev-controlled territory. Meanwhile, special military operation continues, of course, dear friends, and we have reports about further progress of the Russian forces on the battlefield. And let me give you some details. Yesterday, I mentioned that Russian troops established control of the Belogorye settlement in the Zaporozhye region. And a couple of minutes before I launched the live stream, TASS News Agency also reported that Russian armed forces liberated Novoboykovskaya settlement in the Zaporozhye region. Let me show you on the map, by the way, location of this settlements. This map is also not working for whatever reasons. Let's check the map. So this is Novoboykovskaya settlement, by the way, that is under full Russian control. And if you notice, yesterday I mentioned that Russian troops, seems like Russian troops are preparing pincer offensive to encircle the Orekhov, which is located in the central part of Zaporozhye sector. And that's exactly what is happening, because look how rapid and quite big this advance breakthrough of Russian troops is towards Novoboykovskaya, which is under Russian control now. I guess in next several days, these small villages around gonna be liberated also, and simultaneously we should expect advances of the Russian armed forces from the eastern side too. And process is on the way, by the way. Just a few days ago, I reported about Zelyone settlement being liberated there, right? And also very important developments are taking on this western flank of Zaporozhye sector. Russian armed forces, according to many reports, finalized clearing operation in Primorskaya settlement, a major stronghold of the Kiev regime in the western flank on the Zaporozhye sector. And the Russian troops are advancing now further towards Richnoe, Veselyanka, Grigorievka settlements, right, towards Kushugun settlements. Russian troops are getting very, very close to Zaporozhye city itself. And I don't know, maybe it's a matter of a month or two, and we will see a beginning of the battle for Zaporozhye. City is located on the left bank of the Dnieper River, so therefore I don't think Kiev regime and Kiev regime's forces will have much opportunities to maintain the control over the city for long, right? Of course, logistics is going to be main issue for Kiev regime's forces in this sector, because there is only one major bridge that they can use, right? And once that bridge is under fire control, drone control, artillery control, or whatever, maybe even destroyed, then that's about it, right? Units of the Kiev regime will be trapped in Zaporozhye. And who knows, maybe, by the way, Russian troops will liberate Zaporozhye much faster than anybody expects. Maybe Kiev regime's forces will just withdraw. A possibility, for sure. Also, while map is open, dear friends, let me give you an update on the Konstantinovka direction. Russian troops on the southern side entered or continue to advance in Tarskoye area. Clearing operation in Sofievka was finalized. Also, Russian troops established control over the Verolyubovka settlement on the northern side of Konstantinovka, and right now Russian troops are finalizing clearing operation in all these villages on the southern side of Konstantinovka, and I guess once this operation is finalized, we will see final push to liberate Konstantinovka itself. Also, Russian troops continue advancement in Liman direction, or maybe we should call this Slavyansk direction now. Russian troops entering Liman from three zones, from the southern side, eastern side, northern side, and Russian troops also advancing from the northern western side. And I guess it's a matter of a week or two max, and Liman will be in operational or maybe even complete encirclement. And I guess we might see with Liman similar story as it happened with Seversk, when city was liberated literally in days. Battle in Seversk area was going on basically since 2022, right? But when Russian troops launched offensive on Seversk itself, it only took like a couple of days and city was completely liberated. And something similar might happen with Liman also. And once Liman is liberated, then we can argue that battle for last major stronghold of Kiev regime in DPR, Slavyansk Kramatorsk agglomeration, has begun, and well, basically that's about it. All along the front line, initiative is in Russian hands, of course, and in no circumstances NATO or their proxy regime in Kiev will be able to change the dynamics on the line of contact. They're not gonna regain initiative anywhere ever. Also, I think this is interesting news that Rheinmetall, German giant in military industrial complex, most likely will transfer first 5 Lynx infantry fighting vehicles, Lynx KF-41 infantry fighting vehicles to the regime in the beginning of the 2026, and that means maybe these vehicles already been transferred to the regime or will be in next several weeks. And I'm sharing this information just to let you know that soon, if you are visiting Russia, if you are planning to visit Russia, by the way, Moscow, for example, soon you will have opportunity to see this Lynx vehicle also in museums where these trophies are demonstrated. One here in Moscow, one is in Park Победы, right? I believe it's still there, open for the public. And yes, I wonder how long it will take before these Lynx vehicles also will end up in museum, as many other weapons have. Also, dear friends, yesterday I did mention that Szijjártó, foreign minister of Hungary, is saying openly that United Kingdom and France are risking to provoke a war with Russia, open direct war with Russia. And of course, Szijjártó is correct, by the way, but I will just add that leadership of UK and France are not only risking to provoke direct war with Russia, but they actually pushing for that. They want to provoke these direct clashes, although they don't want to be alone, right, against Russia. They want Americans to be there for them. That's what's happening, and you know, they will continue to try to bring in US. If they fail, then eventually globalist and globalist controlled regimes in Europe, first of all, of course, UK and France will push for direct clashes with Russia, anyways, right? And most likely, I can even share my take about areas where direct clashes may occur. Baltics, obviously, key regime territory, yeah, clearly a possibility. Baltics. And Poland, Chihuahuas, Baltic Chihuahuas, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Finland. This is the line where we might actually see direct clashes between Russian and NATO troops, European NATO troops. And me personally, only question I have is that will Russia, once globalists will provoke these direct clashes with Russia, I wonder if Moscow will finally authorize or to demilitarize UK and France, denuclearize UK and France. I think neither France nor the UK can be trusted with nuclear weapons, and we have to take care of it, man. We just have to, right? It's doable. Only order is needed from Putin, and Russian militaries and security services will demilitarize France and UK in a matter of 30 minutes, literally 30 minutes, and none of these countries will have a single nuclear capable weapon carrier, either aircraft or submarine or anything, nothing. They will be completely demilitarized. 30 freaking minutes, that's all is needed, right? These guys in the West that are formally in charge, Stammer, Macron, and the rest of the garbage, they love to act tough, right? Bold and threaten Russia day in, day out, and do that kind of madness. But reality is that we can demilitarize both UK and France literally in 30 minutes. And I really hope Putin will authorize this strike. And if you think US gonna get involved and US will start war with Russia and will hit Russia with nukes, no, they're not gonna do shit, man, right? Because they don't want to die, as simple as that. And I think Washington also understands that France and UK cannot be trusted with the nukes. These are not the countries that are behaving rationally. They cannot be trusted, and I think this can be done, man, very easy. Once order is given by Russian president, and once missiles are in the air, hypersonic missiles that cannot be intercepted by anything that West or France and UK can come up with, once Russian hunter submarines locked and neutralized, basically launch the torpedoes towards British and French submarines and take them out, very same time, literally, representative of Russian Defense Ministry might make a call to US Embassy, or maybe will visit US Embassy and give them a freaking letter that none of this activity is directed against US, right? No missiles, and Americans will know, by the way, because to strike US, you have to, our missiles mostly have to fly through North Pole, right? It's the shortest route. And American US early detection will, of course, see if there is any missiles flying through North Pole or not. And they will see that there is none. But just to stay on the safe side, representative of Russian Defense Ministry can visit, if necessary, US Embassy, give them a letter to read that none of the Russian activities are directed against US, and better US stay away from this stuff. Or if Russian early warning systems detected even one intercontinental ballistic missile being launched from US submarines or from US ground, then that's it. That will be last day of the US. We will launch everything we have, which literally means end of US, right? In next 2 hours, US will die and cease to exist. Most likely we will die too. Let's make no mistake about it, but we will take with us all our enemies, man. We will fucking kill them all. Right? And I think US will not get engaged. I really 100% convinced, by the way, 100% convinced that US will stay away. And we will easily demilitarize France and UK, right? Taking out their nuclear capabilities, their industrial capabilities. and their major military bases. And after that, Europe going to behave adequately. Only then, European elites will start acting adequately, by the way, without pretending that they are big freaking bosses in this planet and they have a right to order anything to anybody. We have to teach them a lesson, right? And I hope Russian president will authorize this. I really hope so, you know. Meanwhile, by the way, there is an increased opposition in Western countries itself towards this crazy, behavior of their elites, including in terms of provoking war with Russia, sending their troops to fight Russia. Basically, that's what it is, right? They might use different words, but that's what they want. They want to provoke direct clashes. And yesterday I mentioned that Macron, president of France, so-called, had a meeting with numerous political figures in the country, opposition, position, everybody. And, well, he was received very badly. And his ideas of sending French troops into Kiev-controlled territory was received very badly, right? So, globalists probably, and their puppets in the governments of these European countries, UK, France, first of all, they will probably think more about their own strength, right? Because maybe they are pushing their puppets just too far. And if so, by the way, if so, then let their protests begin in both in UK and France. Protest of the people that will demand to stay away from this war until it's not too late. Because one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, not day after, but one day, Putin might actually authorize. He might actually authorize retaliatory strikes on France and UK that are directly engaged in this war against Russia, right? And then, well, then it will be too late for societies of the France and UK to do something, right? It is what it is. Also, interesting comment that I want to share with you that is coming from Dugin, a prominent Russian public figure, philosopher, intellectual, and some say, by the way, person that kind of influenced Putin's worldview, right? I'm not quite sure about it, but that's what some people say, right? That's how influential, allegedly, Dugin is in terms of his philosophy, right? So he went to say that Eurasia will be the grave of the American empire if they attack it. And they're, quote, better to stay in the Western Hemisphere. Tucker Carlson and Professor Meisheimer are right. American empire is only possible if Russia supports it. And definitely, by the way, Dugin is correct. And I have said myself a million times before, isn't it, that the only way US can maintain relevance on geopolitical scale as an empire or as an adequate state, republic, only way US can maintain relevance, or the US ruling class can maintain relevance on geopolitical scale, is to have a at least good working relationships with Russia, not the hostilities, right? And Dugin is basically saying the same. And I guess American ruling class missed on that opportunity. Of course, things might change still, right? American ruling class might reverse their own policies that they are implementing, hostile policies towards Russia. Theoretically, this is possible, and that will give them opportunity again, right, to maintain relevance. But I think chances of that is next to none, right? Maybe Rubicon has been crossed by American elites, and they are doomed now, as Europeans are, right? US and Europe is doomed, by the way, absolutely. Give it to 20, 30 years, and they're going to be either loosely relevant or completely irrelevant in terms of geopolitics, right? I'm not even sure US will still exist after 20, 30 years, man. That's how bad situation going to get for the US. And when it comes to Europe, well, Europe is finished already, man. Right? Ask Europeans, by the way, if they are happy with the state of their own countries. Probably majority will say no, man. It's a shithole now. Because it is, man. Right? Borrell was calling Europe a freaking garden, isn't it? Oh, we are garden, and the rest of the world is like a jungle, right? That's what Borrell was saying, isn't it? Seriously, take a look at the central parts of their freaking Frankfurt or the Paris or the London, by the way, or when freaking idiots are running around with machetes, by the way, and you cannot take a phone, right, to send a message or to read the news. If someone's gonna steal it from you, and if you say something or do something, they might freaking cut your head off with machetes, right? And that is a garden in European understanding. I mean, seriously? Okay, by the way. So definitely, Dugin is on point there, 100%. And you know what? I mean, if I was a bigger channel, by the way, if I was a little bit bigger channel, then I know Dugin speaks English. I believe I have seen his interviews in English, so I would love to have a conversation with him because I mean, he can definitely give a deeper, very deep answers and explanations about some major stuff, right? He's acknowledged as a intellectual by many for a reason, and conversation would be very interesting for me personally, and for you, for our community also, I'm quite sure. But I'm a too small channel, man, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not really that keen to ask for interviews. Anyways. Meanwhile, by the way, when Western ruling class continues to act crazy, and as I mentioned yesterday, UK's defense minister made a bold remark that he would love to kidnap Putin. Yeah, man, this is crazy. And of course, the Russian side, even though it is difficult to take seriously these creatures, right, that are formally in charge of the West, but nevertheless, when some crazy stuff like that is said, when there is direct threat towards the Russian president, foreign ministry had to react, and they did, and condemn this madness on the part of a UK government and their defense minister. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. That's with whom we are dealing. So British Defense Secretary John Haley wants to kidnap Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Telegraph reports, if I had the opportunity to kidnap any world leader, I would choose Putin, he said. And this was filmed, and this is on record, by the way. He's saying that he would, commit crime. He would kidnap president of the other country. Yet again, I mean, we get used to this insane hostility from the West so much so that we no longer reacting kind of strongly in all this stuff. But maybe we should, man, because this is not normal. When defense minister of NATO member state, still nuclear armed state, is saying that they want to target Russian president. I mean, this is declaration of war, man, right? Especially when this is happening days after US kidnapped president of Venezuela. I mean, this is too bad, man. If I was Russian president, I would make sure that that day when this dirty freaking bitch said this shit, John Haley, I would make sure that day was the last day for him, right? Literally, I would take him out. As a message, by the way, to all the British elites. You say some shit about Russia, you die. Literally die, right? And I will obliterate defense ministry of the UK when this bitch will enter the building, or he was in Kiev even, isn't it? I don't give a damn, and I would kill him straight away. Right? We have to teach these animals, by the way, lessons. These are not humans that deserve any respect. These are fucking rabid animals. And what you do with the rabid animals, exterminate, right? Put in sleep. That's what we have to do with this dirty scum, man. entire Western elite, man, is an evil force and has to be exterminated, period. How many times I have to say it, man? That's what we have to do, just kill them all, man, all of them. Meanwhile, we are killing enemies of ours, of course, on a different scale, on a different level, but we do kill our enemies. And another Brit was neutralized in the zone of special military operation in December 2025. He did not make it to a new year, this dirty animal. This is a 56-year-old Michael Anthony Hogan. He was a veteran of British Armed Forces. He was committing war crimes and crimes against humanity in Iraq and Afghanistan, was deployed several times there. Then went into Ukraine and was serving in a neo-Nazi formation, understandably so. I mean, you expect these fascists from UK and other Western countries will serve in a Ukrainian fascist unit, right? Nazi unit, which is Azov, among others. And yes, he was eliminated in December last year. Good. One less animal, rabid animal in this world, man. Very good, I will say. Very freaking good. More news like that is needed, for sure. More. And I will just remind everybody that on these threats from the Europe that they're going to deploy troops on the Kiev controlled territory and stuff, former Russian president and current deputy chairman of Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, commented and shared the video of recent Russian airstrike strike. And this is his comment: the ruling European dimwits. And I like this, man. Medvedev is not messing around. He's not playing no political correctness and stuff. He's saying what he wants to say, right? Maybe I'm a little more direct in my wording, sir, but Medvedev is also doing quite okay in this regard. He's not shying away to use some strong language. So the ruling European dimwits want a war in Europe, after all. It's been said 1,000 times, Russia won't accept any European or NATO troops in Ukraine, but no, Macron keeps peddling this pathetic bullshit. Well, come on then, this is what you'll get. And then video of airstrike strikes, and you know what? Sometimes I wonder if Medvedev was Russian president, how will this special military operation develop? I mean, will he authorize, will he untie the hands of the Russian militaries and security services on the first day? Or not? Will he also exercise restraint in a way that Russian current president is exercising? We never gonna know this, isn't it? But based on some rhetorics of the Medvedev, and also, by the way, based on history, I remind you, Medvedev was president of Russia when the US, through its proxy regime in Georgia, provoked a military confrontation, right, between Georgia and Russia, and Medvedev authorized militaries to do whatever is necessary to achieve results, and that conflict ended in 4 or 5 days, military phase of it, 4 or 5 days. So, and by the way, even though conflict ended in 4 or 5 days, in August of 2008, experts, Russian experts, military experts, they were not happy with the performance of Saturn formations. They were not happy with logistics and stuff, and they start this 5-day war in August 2008 actually initiated very, very significant changes in Russian army. But nevertheless, Medvedev was a president, and yeah, that conflict lasted only 5 days. Of course, there is a massive difference between Georgian capability during the Saakashvili's reign and Ukraine, and their capability. Of course, there is a massive difference, but nevertheless, it is an interesting question. Will Medvedev, as a president of Russia, will exercise also this restraint and keep fighting while hands being tied behind the backs of the Russian militaries and security services, as it is the case since 2002, by the way? I don't know. But I think it is absolutely necessary to stop messing around with restraint, and I think it is absolutely necessary to strike back on NATO countries that are engaged in a war with us, and to strike back hard, man. It's only US, right? Only US with which we definitely have to try to avoid the direct confrontation, because that would be end of humanity. But nevertheless, we can push US towards submission through other means, right? Without us, US is done. We know this. They know this. They have to know this, man. They cannot be that stupid to ignore objective reality completely. They know they need Russia, right? Russian support, cooperation with Russia. And we also know it. So we can deal with US in some other ways. But France and UK can be demilitarized, denuclearized in 30 freaking minutes, and I hope Putin will issue such order. Medvedev probably would. Putin, I don't know. But when it comes to Russian long-range capabilities, by the way, and we do have quite a stuff, isn't it? But developments continue. And for example, I saw this reporter on Kirill Fedorov Telegram channel, one of the biggest Telegram channels in Russian segment of Telegram, where there is information this information is coming from Kyiv regime, by the way, right? Kyiv regime's sources, they shared this first. And according to them, Russia is developing a new generation of long-range weaponry, long-range missiles for Russian strategical aviation. And for example, one such a cruise missile is HBDK. That's the index of this missile. It will have 900 km/h. It's a subsonic missile, speed 3,000 km range. It will be kind of analog or further development of their H-101 missile that you have most likely heard already during their special military operation. Also, another missile is H-99, and if HBDK will be launched from Tu-95s, then H-99 or CH-99 is developed for Tu-160, White Swan, Russian strategical bomber, beautiful plane, you know how it looks. And this missile will have, this missile is going to be hypersonic, over 6,000 kilometers speed, up to 7,000 kilometers, and range more than 5,000 kilometers. So it's going to be beast, right? This one going to be beast. And also there is a universal cruise missile or anti-ship missile, I should say, HMC. Speed is subsonic, 900 kilometers in our range, 4,200 kilometers, by the way, which is quite impressive when you can launch a missile 4,000 kilometers away from your target and strike it, you know. So, and this is an analog sort of or modernized version of H-22 missile. So you see, there is obviously developments in a number of directions when it comes to Russian military capabilities, long-range capabilities, and well, it's not just hypersonic weapons that Russia is developing, but also subsonic weapons. And these subsonic weapons, by the way, main focus there is on low-level fly, that will allow them to avoid radar detection, right? And for example, HBDK will fly about 30 meters above the ground, very low, right? While avoiding whatever obstacles going to be on the way. And on 30 meters, it's so low, I don't think your typical radar can be able to detect it. Anyways, let's continue with some other news. Well, of course, we have to talk about Venezuela, man. Venezuela is, of course, making headlines big time. And, well, for whatever reason, by the way, I don't know if you pay attention to this, but on 10th of January, U.S. Embassy issued their alert basically for all U.S. citizens in Venezuela and recommendation to leave immediately. And this was the day after U.S. delegation was visiting Caracas. And, I was thinking, what the hell is going on? Why this is happening? And only explanation I personally come up with is that maybe U.S. Intelligence knows, and U.S. State Department therefore knows that some uprising is being in preparations, right, in Venezuela, and might happen at any time. Maybe. I'm quite sure, and I said from the beginning. That people of Venezuela will soon realize that they've been played, right? They've been betrayed by their own political leadership and military leadership. They will understand that this was a trade-off. What happened in Caracas with kidnapping of Maduro and so on, that it was a pure trade-off, pure fiction, in which participated not just Maduro himself and his government, but also most likely China, by the way, and US. That was a trade-off between China and US. And a big mistake on part of China, I can tell. Big mistake on part of China, but, let them care about it or worry about it. And, people will realize that they've been played, right? And they're going to start a revolution again. And they will. And maybe U.S. intelligence knows that there is some disturbances, right, there in Venezuela, and they want their citizens to be out of country, not to end up, let's say, in a crossroads of their whatever is going to happen. But it was interesting. On one side, Trump, day in, day out, is saying that, well, he controls Venezuela now. He posted a picture, by the way, yesterday, isn't it? When his picture of himself, and there was a sign under the picture, acting president of Venezuela or something. I mean, come on, man. Is there anybody in Trump's inner circle to tell him that he's just acting too freaking clownish now? And maybe enough is enough, and he should, change his behavior, because is White House being transformed into a freaking circus or something? I don't know, but on one side, all we hear from White House and Washington in general, that they are in control of everything, and everything is good. Venezuela is paying now US, and the Venezuelan oil is American oil now, and all that stuff, right? But on the other hand, they are issuing alert warning to all citizens of US to leave immediately. What the hell is going on there? But meanwhile, Latin American countries that for a reason have been, I would not say scared, but, worried about insanity of the US leadership, US political class, and possible consequences for them too. Some Latin American countries, by the way, first of all, leader of Colombia, President Petro, proposed the EU or US style unification of a number of Latin American countries. And you know what? And you see map of potential confederation there. And I don't think this will work, by the way. I don't think this will work. I don't think US will ever allow Latin American countries to unite. Not happening, but initiative is definitely good one, isn't it? Confederation of Autonomous Nations. That's the name that Petro come up with, and the idea is good, man. Idea is good. Together they will be much stronger than separately, and they have so much similarities between each other, right? Very many similarities, cultural, historical, and so on. So integration would not be that difficult, actually. But US will never allow this to happen. Information itself is interesting, that this insanity of the Western ruling class is forcing now countries worldwide to consider other architectures of other, security architectures of their new type, right? And many countries might be forced now to cooperate with countries that previously they were hostile to or did not really have good relationships. But now, when everyone sees that Western ruling class is out of control, by the way, it's totally insane, and nobody is safe on this planet, no nation, no country, nobody. In these circumstances, anything can be done, right? And any level of cooperation between any countries might happen. Good luck to Latin American countries, by the way. Good luck. Maybe they will actually manage to get united and deter Washington, but do we believe in that? I personally don't. Also, by the way, it's not just Latin American countries, but there is a fear, according to reports that I have seen, fear is growing in Canada too, that US gonna do some shit against Canada. After maybe not right now, but in foreseeable future. And Bloomberg reported about it, saying Canada fears it's next after Venezuela and Greenland, and this might be the case. This might be the case because, Trump is clearly behaves. Trump and his whatever forces are behind him are behaving like they are the law, right? And that's it. Nothing is stopping them, and they know they are more powerful than Canada, like 100 times over. How many people are living in Canada? Like 20 million, 30 million? What kind of army Canada has? Almost non-existent, right? So US just can go in and declare Canada to be, I don't know, a 51st state or something. And that's it, man. Who's gonna fight? Who's gonna fight, man? In Ontario, in Ottawa, anywhere, man. Who's gonna fight? Vancouver, man. Can you imagine, Vancouver Resistance Force and these Canadians, these very polite people, by the way, as far as I can tell, what I know about Canadians, extremely polite, nice people, right? Good people and friendly people. And I just cannot imagine these very nice individuals, by the way, I mean, taking up arms and fighting these American invaders, man. No, they probably will say, yeah, shit happens, and they will just carry on with their lives, right? So, they might be next. They might be next after US will finalize its occupation of Greenland. And they will, by the way. They will, although, of course, no country in the Western Hemisphere is safe, and Cuba is definitely target for the US. And Trump himself yesterday came up with another post on his Truth Social threatening Cuba, threatening people of Cuba. And yes, as I said, from the beginning of buildup of US militaries in Caribbean, this escalation was, this buildup of US military assets was not just about Venezuela, but mostly about Cuba. And I think I was correct, man. And they're gonna turn on Cuba very soon. I think so. So maybe Cuba will be even before Greenland. Cuba will be attacked before Greenland, then Greenland after Cuba, and then Canada, probably. I mean, how insane is that, man? Isn't it? US leadership is just acting so crazy that it's hard to, you know, explain even, that they're just freaking mad, man, crazy people. Nevertheless, I think it is interesting to know that tanker carrying oil from Mexico reached Cuba, by the way, challenging Washington's regional pressure. Information is coming from Bloomberg, Western propaganda outlet. Mexico has become a key supplier of oil to their Caribbean island after U.S. captured Maduro. And what can I say? Well done to Mexico, by the way. They have some balls there, huh? Mexican leadership is definitely, not hesitating to demonstrate their reluctance to obey orders from the Washington. And they are also on the list. They should know it, right? And they know it, most likely, that Mexico is also on the list. And Trump openly threatened Mexico too. He's threatening everybody, by the way. See, he is literally threatening everybody, including allies. Last time I checked, Denmark did not do anything to US. Denmark was and is a loyal, colony of the London and the Washington. Of course, influence of London is much bigger than Washington's, but they never did anything against US. And they are telling Americans, if you are concerned about security of Greenland, or you know what, come in, build your freaking bases, as many as you like 5, 10, 15, 100, 150, do whatever you want. You want bases, you can have bases. You want to patrol the waters around Greenland, you're more than welcome. You want to dig some rare earth from the island? Oh, we would love that. Just do it. Invest, right? Denmark is okay with literally everything except losing this territory, right, to America. But at the same time, by the way, Danish government is saying that, you know what, if Greenlanders themselves will decide that they want to go their separate way, we are okay with that too. So Danish government is is behaving, as adequately as possible in this freaking situation, right? But they will not deter Trump, isn't it? They will not influence nothing. Trump said that psychologically, whatever that means, it is important for America to have a Greenland, and okay, then they're gonna go and occupy their territory, take the territory from NATO member state. It's gonna be, interesting to observe how they're gonna rule out, this situation. And Trump is warning, by the way, right, that he might go hard way or easy way, right? He's directly threatening with the military actions, right? U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that Washington could obtain Greenland the hard way, saying he would not allow the strategic North Atlantic island to fail prey to Russia or China. The Kingdom of Denmark, which holds sovereignty over the Greenland, has opposed the U.S. push to acquire the island. And you know what is also tragic-comedical in this situation, that whenever Western ruling class, if you notice this, whenever they want to justify anything, any crazy step that they will come up with, all they have to do is mention Russia and China, by the way, sometimes Iran, and that's it. No questions asked about it. That's kind of enough, right? They have demonized Russia, China, Iran, number of other countries, so much so that they think that if they will mention Russia and China now, it's enough argument, right? So, you against we occupying Greenland? Really? Are you, Russian asset or something? Are you pro-Russian there? Danish government? Are you pro-Russians, man? Are you on our FSB payroll? Or what the hell is wrong with you? We want the Greenland and you have to give us a Greenland. Otherwise, you are Russian asset. How great of the argument that is, isn't it? I'm telling you, it's a freaking fiction, man. It's madness, pure madness, right? And also, Trump allegedly ordered their plans to be made by militaries about invasion of the Greenland. US President Donald Trump has ordered his senior commanders to draw up a plan for a potential invasion of Greenland, move that could potentially lead to complete collapse of NATO, the Daily Mail reported on Saturday, citing sources. And yet again, I mean, what they gonna do, man, these NATO countries? Nothing, isn't it? Nothing. What can they do? And Trump personally, by the way, also went to say that just because some Danes some 500 years ago end up on Greenland, swim to Greenland on some freaking boat, it does not mean that this island now belongs to them. He actually says that, and with that logic, by the way, just because some time ago some Europeans end up on the shores of North America, does not mean that North America belongs to Europeans, and maybe in that case, all the Europeans from US should, back to their countries of origin, and maybe North America should be given back to people that it belonged. Huh? How about that? Anyways, man. Trump is something else, isn't it? Let me show you a video of these crazy statements of Trump about Greenland. So this is one.
To me, I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land.
Yeah, what that means then, why US belongs to Europeans then? Why majority are Europeans there? Canada, what Europeans lost there? Go back to your countries, man. Trump is like German or something, isn't it? He has some roots in Germany. So why would he go back to Germany, man? And live their happy life? Wouldn't it be nice if all the Europeans from US, Canada, other countries in North and South America went back to their countries of origin? Wouldn't that be nice, man? Oh, yeah, anyways, man, there is another video when Trump is bashing Greenlander that I want to share.
Thank you. And the policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay?
Can you imagine how poorly educated this guy is, man? He just had a meeting, a couple of months ago, he had a meeting with the Russian president, isn't it, in Alaska. And it's hard to believe that he has no freaking idea that Alaska is literally bordering with Russia. Russia and US are neighbors. From day US acquired Alaska from Russian Empire. We are neighbors, man, actual neighbors, right? But Trump has no freaking idea about it. Oh, we cannot allow Russians to take over the Greenland. We just cannot be neighbors. We are neighbors anyways, right? And for God's sake, why we have to occupy or do anything with Greenland when anybody here in Russia, literally anybody here in Russia, said that we have any ambitions to control freaking Greenland, man? What the heck, man? And why nobody is challenging? Why there is no questions that, there is no indicators whatsoever that Russia or the China had any ambitions to attack Greenland and take over their island. And even Danish government, I believe, said so, isn't it? That Trump is just going too far, saying that either Russia or China are posing the threat to the Denmark or Danish sovereignty over the Greenland. This is not true. If anybody is threatening Danish sovereignty, is U.S. And this is coming from Danish government, Danish leadership, right? And they are correct, man. It's insane, but level of low level of stupidity of Trump is just beyond anything, by the way. He actually don't know that Russia and US are neighbors. What he knows, for God's sake. He talks about geopolitics every day, and he has no freaking idea about geographies of his own country. That's unbelievable, man.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Okay, enough of this craziness, by the way. I don't know what you will make of it, dear friends. I'm not a big fan of European regimes, and definitely not their so-called kingdoms and royal families in Europe. I despise them all, man. Right? I despise the European ruling class because I think they are mass murderers, genocidal maniacs, all of them, and they have no right to be in elites anywhere, right? But nevertheless, we have to acknowledge the objective reality. Greenland is a part of Denmark. We might like it or not, but it is what it is, right? Denmark has an agreement in place since 90s, I believe, with the Greenland, that whenever Greenlanders will decide that they want to go their separate way and gain full independence, Denmark will not oppose that, right? So Greenlanders can become fully independent if they want to. And definitely it's none of the US's business, by the way, what and how will happen in internal affairs of the Denmark, right? Yet again, I'm not big fan of any regimes in the West, right? I see them all as to be terrorist regimes, criminal regimes, all of them, with no exception. But in this particular case, Washington has no case, man. They just are pushing for Greenland just because they have force, right? And they're demonstrating time and again what all of us knew since forever, that all these talks about international law, rules-based order, and this and that was just a game on the part of Western ruling class, right? In reality, they never have cared about any of it, right? And as soon as they decided that they're gonna go their own way, they're completely forgetting about any of these statements, international law. It's I'm observing, as you know, dear friends, I'm monitoring quite a number of Western media outlets, right? Just to know what kind of narratives they are pushing. It's part of this work, right? And it is funny when I'm watching British media outlets, by the way, and many of them have channels on internet, right? And it is funny to see, funny and disturbing simultaneously, when British officials, are sitting in a studio or something and being asked, yeah, but you think US is not breaking the international law while acting this way in regards to Venezuela and acting that way in regards to Greenland? And these British officials, by the way, that are very quick to attack Russia, to attack China, to attack any country they don't like, how much they are struggling to say anything, by the way, critical of actions of the Washington. They are struggling to say that this is completely illegal, man. All their legal scholars, right? Everybody says, whose word means something in a legal sphere, that what US did in regards to Venezuela was completely illegal, right? Totally illegal actions. There is not even discussion among experts, right, in this field. But European leaders, European ruling class is struggling to say so. They just afraid, right? First and foremost, because they want to keep US. As I said, man, globalists and globalist controlled regimes in Europe, they want to provoke direct clashes with Russia, right? Because they cannot accept objective reality. They cannot capitulate, right? They just cannot. So we will have to, Russia will have no option but to force them to submission, right? We will have to defeat their armies too. And we will. But they want US to be involved too. And this is one of the reasons, I think, why they are this quiet in regards to all the actions of the US. And Washington knows this also. I don't think Washington will play the games of their globalists. I don't think Washington will actually get engaged in open military conflict with Russia. But they have a leverage, right? Until European elites think that Washington might be with them, Washington might send the troops and so on, they will agree on anything, right? And if tomorrow US gonna go in and occupy Greenland, European capitals will say perhaps nothing of super critical. They might say, oh, we are not happy about it, but they would not impose sanctions on the US for sure, right? So, fake. All of them are freaking fake, man, by the way. And everything that they allegedly were standing for was also fake. And people have seen this, right? People worldwide, including in the Western world itself, are seeing this stuff, and good. Let them know, by the way. Let them know, right? That their governments, their elites have no moral stand and have no right to lecture anybody about anything. Absolutely. Let's continue with some other news. EU prepares, allegedly, by the way, EU prepares sanctions against the US. So the Greenland claims, although we all know, by the way, that EU will do nothing. European Union is preparing sanctions against American corporations if the United States does not abandon its claims to Greenland, Telegraph reports. And let's see, man. Let's see what Europeans are going to do. Trump will come up with their freaking, 300% tariffs on European goods, and that will completely demolish European economies. That will just freaking kill straight away European economies. So EU is in no position to pressure Washington, man, on anything, right? Sanctions? What sanctions, man? Literally, tomorrow, if Trump sees this news, he might say, you know what, give me the notebook, give me it. Oh, and he might write on his True Social, from tomorrow, 300% tariffs on everything, on all imports from Europe. All imported goods from Europe, 300% tariffs from tomorrow, and that's it, by the way. You're going to see what will happen with on the stock exchanges in London, in Frankfurt, right? Elsewhere, what will happen to European companies, man? So you think they're gonna actually do something about US? No, man. Also, Telegraph is reporting that Britain and European Union countries discuss NATO troop deployment in Greenland, which is also kind of funny, isn't it? Because NATO is US. Without US, there is no NATO. And for NATO to do anything, everyone has to agree, right? So US will say, no, man, you deploy nothing. I deploy troops. You do nothing, man. You just sit there and be quiet. And that's what they're going to do, man. They're going to sit and be quiet. So what is this? Why these people like Starmer and others, by the way, are still acting if they have any relevance in this world, man? Even Western propaganda outlets, by the way, have been forced to acknowledge that it's just too much embarrassment for the UK, for example, way that Starmer is acting, pretending to be like this tough guy and painting picture that UK is this major military power in this world that can deploy troops here and there. at any given moment, when in reality, British armed forces are freaking joke, man. We all know this. Everyone knows this, right? It's a joke. Only reason why London can be, there can be some relative attention towards their London is because they have nuclear weapons. It's not necessarily 100% theirs, because British nuclear weapons, as you know, by the way, are are based on UK don't has nuclear triad. They only have a nuclear carrier submarines, right? Nuclear submarines, Vanguard class nuclear submarines that are armed with a Trident intercontinental ballistic missiles, and each of these missiles are carrying several re-entry vehicles, right? Several warheads, basically, and their Trident is US missile. So without US authorization, I'm not sure UK can even deploy the nukes. Even if they want to, I don't think they'd be able to, right? They only have like 4 Vanguard class nuclear submarines, and at any given time, I guess maybe only one nuclear submarine is actually somewhere at sea, right? Supposed to be 2, right? 2 at sea, 2 at bay, right? To undergo some works, right? But these are such old submarines, by the way. I'm not quite sure even single one is operational now, really. But nevertheless, they still have, I mean, formally they are nuclear power, right? I know Russia can neutralize these 4 Vanguard class submarines literally in 30 minutes, literally in 30 freaking minutes, right? And we can demilitarize France too, by the way, in the very same 30 minutes. It's a not big deal for Russia. If Putin issues such an order, well, Russian militaries will execute it perfectly well, right? Perfectly well. 30 minutes, neither France, neither UK have any nukes, any nuclear capabilities. That will be a good day, right? But nevertheless, this is the only reason why anybody pays any freaking attention to London, because they are nuclear superpower, and they are permanent members of the Security Council. At this point, I don't even know if that means anything. Being a permanent member in the UN, this another joke, by the way, right? UN. So yeah, some threats, some light threats, by the way, from Europe, that they're gonna deploy NATO troops to Greenland to deter US. Oh yeah, okay, do it, man. Crazy. And of course, we have to talk about Iran, by the way. It seems like Iran's security services, Iranian government is regaining initiative in the situation in the country. There was a massive rally, by the way, today in number of cities in Iran, pro-governmental rallies. I can show you a video, by the way. For example, right now, video of quite a big rally, pro-governmental rally in Tehran. So this is the video, by the way. So quite a lot of people, and this is Tehran, some of the squares in Tehran, and all over the country. There was a call, isn't it, from a supreme leader, I believe, and the leadership, basically, of Iran. There was a call for people to demonstrate the unity and gather together at certain time, and I guess that's exactly what happened. People reacted on this call, and they are on the streets, and seems like Tehran is regaining control over the situation, although it's still far to be from in a safe zone, right? Still, riots continue. Extremists are killing more and more security services officers and the civilians, by the way. Iran's foreign minister, Araghchi, I believe, shared information with the public that Iran's security services have intercepted their phone audio messages that was transmit to these rioters, by the way. And in that message, that message was saying, if you see something on the lines of, if you see security forces open fire, try to kill them, and if you don't, then attack civilians, residences, and civilians. And that's what they do, by the way. There are so many videos when these rioters are entering civilians, just civilian houses, by the way. They are burning down civilian residences. They are burning down mosques, by the way. Who are these people, man? Who are these people? They are treating mosques, religious institutions, with total hate. Who are these people, man? Where they grow up? Are they even Iranians or what the hell? This is not Iranian culture, by the way, to treat negatively, I mean, with disrespect, any religious institution. Literally, by the way, this is not a part of Iranian culture. They are very tolerant. And in Tehran, you can see synagogue, by the way, right? Where Jewish people go and pray, right? You can see church, you can see mosque, by the way. And Iranians are respectful. So who are these criminals, this garbage that is running around and killing people, civilians and security officers, burning down civilian houses, by the way, of ordinary people, and disrespecting mosques, man? Who are these garbage elements? I don't know, man. It's crazy. I have seen too many videos. I have shared too many videos, isn't it? When they are running with AKs and stuff, right? And shooting at their police. Clearly, by the way, Mossad and their Western secret services are orchestrating these riots, right? And they are, maybe it's too early to call, but seems like Tehran in past 24 to 48 hours managed to turn the tide, right, and regain the initiative, control over the situation. And if my understanding is correct, then I guess either in next several days, US and Israel will go ahead with the military strikes on Iran, right, to support this regime change operation that they launch, or if US and Israel will hesitate to attack Iran again, then I guess it's only a matter of a couple of days, I guess, and the Iran security services will deal with these terrorist groups that are actually hijacked, by the way, legit protests of the ordinary people that were unhappy with all sorts of sanctions, right? With the certain things in the country that are mainly generated because of the Western illegal sanctions, right? But clearly this protest, initially civilian protest, was hijacked by Western secret services, right? And their Israeli secret services and their assets on the ground. It's just too obvious, man. There was reports that in Iran, by the way, Iran declares national mourning over their death of resistance, over the death of their security service members and the civilians also in this Israeli-US-led terrorist attack on the country. There will be 3-day mourning, national mourning in Iran. But as I already said, there is a risk that US and Israel might attack Iran, and the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, many other media outlets, Western media outlets or propaganda outlets, come up with the articles that allegedly there is some preliminary discussions already taking place in the US to attack Iran. Some militaries, I have read the article that some militaries were warning Trump's administration not to go ahead with the military strikes because it might strike back on them. But I'm quite sure there is enough warmongers around Trump that will push for the strikes, and they might do it. And Trump himself is threatening. Iran is looking at the freedom. That's what he wrote on his Truth Social. Perhaps like never before, the USA stands ready to help Donald J. Trump, whatever he means by this. It's a threat, obviously. Also, Iran issued a warning, by the way, Iran's leadership. Iran warns delusional US president, be careful whose advice you follow on attacking Iran. If you attack Iran, all American military centers, bases, ships will be legitimate target for us. Speaker of the Iranian parliament stated on this matter. And as I said, by the way, there is a number of articles in the Western media that suggests that White House might actually go ahead with the military intervention in this regime change operation that they launch in Iran together with the Israeli side, and which is failing. Seems like this regime change operation of Israel and US is failing. If you would ask me like 4 days ago, I would say initiative clearly is in hands of these rioters, these terrorist groups that hijacked the protests. But now, in past 12, 24, 36 hours, definitely some significant shift had happened, right? And I don't know if I understand correctly, then this regime change operation will fail. Obviously, if US and Israel will stay away, right, or refuse to attack Iran. If they will attack Iran, well, that might complicate the situation, and definitely not in favor of attackers, not in favor of Israel and US in many ways, because people might actually rally around the flag, right? That's what happens when countries are under attack. So very same people that were used by Israeli and American assets to orchestrate this regime change operation, very same people that was protesting on the streets might start rallying around the flag and protesting against the actions of the US and Israel. So we will see what is going to happen, but nothing is over yet, for sure. That's for sure, nothing is over yet. But nevertheless, seems like if there will be no US-Israeli strike on Iran, then most likely this regime change operation that they launch in Iran will fail. That's what I want to say, dear friends. And let me check now, if I may, Rambo, if there was any super chat there. And there was Scooby, thank you very much for a gift of a premium subscription to a member of the community, and this is $5 donation basically from Scooby to this project. Thank you very much, Scooby. And yeah, that's I can actually highlight this. That's how it looks, by the way. This is the gift of a premium subscription on Rumble, which is a $5 donation basically for this channel. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your support. And there was no super chat on the Rumble. There was no questions or anything through Boosty or through PayPal. So therefore, I guess this is it. This is it for now. Hopefully you did like the video, dear friends. Hopefully this was a good show, right? And in that case, please click that like button, leave some commentary, share link with your friends if you can. And in case you want to support my work, well, you can do it through several means. You can subscribe to my Patreon page, of course, or page on Boosty, where I have extra content on a regular basis. including behind-the-scenes programs, second news updates, and so on. Also, you can use PayPal platform for donations and their Boosty platforms for donations. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye.